Namaste. We will start with the 11th session. Namasundara-nathaya tasmai halasya vasine chatushashti vidhalila yenakari bhuvasthale Shrimat Sundara-nathasya devim shaparalochanam kalaye hridaye nityam kadamba vanavasinim putam swataf putataram tatoyad gangam payas shankara mauli sangat tatpatu mataf pranayaparadha padahate putatamam tato naha. Anayata pranam asamyataksham abrahmacharya anashanadi khedam chittam maheshe nibhritam nidhatum siddhah kavinam kavitaiva yogaha. We finished with this 26th shloka. The poetry of poets is the best form of yoga, to place one's mind in the contemplation of Mahesha. Maheshe chittam nibhritam nidhatum kavita eva yogaha. There was a question about whether this is too much of a stretch or not. I wanted to just address this with two shlokas from Sahitya Darpanam. In Sahitya Darpana, in the third chapter, where the rasa swarupa is being described, he gives the definition of rasa aswadanam satvodrekat akhanda swaprakasha ananda chinmayaha vedyantara sparsha shunyaha brahma aswada sahodaraha lokottara chamatkara pranaha kaischit pramatrubihi swa akarat abhinnatvena ayam aswadyate rasaha. The manner in which this rasam is being enjoyed by people is something that is non-different. Abhinnatvena swa akaravat abhinnatvena yatha swatmananda prakashaha anubhuyate tadvat ayam rasaha kavye yaha rasaha udbhutaha bhavati sa rasaha api atmananda swarupavat anubhuyate lokottara chamatkara pranaha. Because the charm that comes out of a poetry is something beyond this world, the enjoyment that is derived from this is very similar to, or it is non-different from the enjoyment of Atmaswarupam. Because here you do not have rajas or tamas. There is only sattva pradhanam there. Even if you read about rajas and tamas and everything, yet there is a sattva pradhanatvam that comes out of that poetry. So sattvodrekat brahma aswada sodaraha, it is talked of as a brother. The rasaswada kavya rasaswadaha atra brahma aswadasya atma sakshatkarasya sodaraha is a sibling, brother to that brahmanandam. This is given by Vishwanatha in the 14th century in his Sahitya Darpanam. It is followed by Jagannatha Pandita also in 19th century, not 19th century, he is also 17th century by Rasagangadharakara. So because this is described as equal to rasa aswadam, if you are able to derive that rasa, and when you are experiencing that rasam from a kavyam, it is almost equal to atma sakshatkara, something that cannot be described. You cannot give a description or an udaharanam for brahmananda. The best udaharanam that you can give for atma sakshatkaram is rasa aswadaha in kavyam. Okay, now we'll move to the next shloka, which is the 27th. Tiryang manushya vyatireka hetuhu devya giram eva katakshapataha prajna visheshastu pare jananam prayo dishanti shva sirgala samyam. Vagdevatayaha katakshapatasya mahima atra uchyate. What is the greatness of her kataksham? That grace that she shows. The moment everybody has some sort of a buddhi in there. Everybody is given with a brain, whether it is small or big, or whether you use it or not, whether 1% of it is used or 10% of it is used. Scientists say that even geniuses use only 10% of their brain. So we are all using only 1% of our brain, apparently. It's not, we don't know clearly what it is. But everybody, the fact that everybody has given a brain stands, right? But what is it that distinguishes a person a manushya and a tiryak. Tiryak can be both vihangaha, pashavaha, api. You can talk of both. I mean, tiryak is a word that can represent both birds and animals. Okay, so the reason for differentiating between birds and animals on one side and men on the other side. So the people, tiryang manushya vyatireka hetuhu. What is the reason for differentiating between people and animals or birds? Tiryak means someone who is not walking straight but walking sideways or walking in a different manner other than what manushyas do. So tiryang manushya, tiryanchaha vihangaha atava pashavaha manushyaha cha tesham vyatireka hetuhu bheda karanam. Bheda karanam atra Giram devyaha katakshapataha eva. The moment the glance of Saraswati falls on someone, then that person becomes he gets a greater intellect. Okay, even if it is manushya, among people also, the one who is graced by Saraswati's glance, he is a shade better than the other people, because the other people do not use their brain for anything else. Even for people who are normally using their brain in a good manner, then that means they have the kataksham of Saraswati. So giram devyaha vacham devatayaha saraswatyaha katakshapataha apangaha yada patati apanga darshanam bhavati Tadeva tiryak manushyanam vyatireka hetuhu bheda karanam. That is the difference, reason for differentiating between animals and people. Now, what about the other prajna visheshaha? Prajna visheshastu pare jananam prayaha shva srigala samyam dishanti. Pare prajna visheshaha tu pare anye Prajna visheshaha yesham vagdevi katakshaha eva na bhavati. Katakshapata rahitaha janaha tesham prajnasu katakshapataha na bhavati. Right? So their intelligence does not have the grace of Saraswati. Te pare, those other people who are untouched by Saraswati, they indicate, what does that mean? They show that people are generally equal to mammals or animals. So jananam swa shrigala samyam dishanti suchayanti. So pare prajna visheshaha atra karta te eva suchayanti dishanti. Kim suchayanti? Shva shrigala samyam. They indicate in general the similarity, samyam, between jananam, people, and Shva Shrigala. Shvanaha, Kukuraha, dogs, and Shrigala is jackal. When we say humans are mammals, this is what it means. As long as their brain doesn't function, then they are equal to animals. Sahitya, Sangeeta Kala Vihinaha, Sakshat Pashuhu, Pucha Vishana Hinaha. A person who does not have any sahityam or sangeetam, kala, and all these are just only like a pucha vishana hina. They are like both, without any tail or horns, they are animals. Right? Shrigala, actually, Shrigalaha is a jambukaha, a fox or jackal. Jackals are actually much more cunning animals than other animals. They do use their brain in a way or the other, but they use it in a very crooked manner just for satisfying their own baser needs of hunger and other things. That's all. So normal people also become like that. If they do not use their brains for higher things in life, then they are equal to animals. And when can they use their brains for higher things? It is only when Saraswati Katakshaha vartate tadaeva te sahityam athava vidya, anya vidya grahane upayoktam shaknuvanti. Tiryang manushya vyatireka hetuhu devyaha girameva katakshapataha. The anvaya in the shloka is a little difficult for the second line. You have to take it as pare prajna visheshaha tu suchayanti. Kim suchayanti? Shvas jananam shvasrigala samyam suchayanti. Samyam suchayanti. They indicate an aupamyam between animals and, or between dogs and jackals and men. Okay. So giram the tiryang manushya vyatireka hetuhu devyaha girameva katakshapataha prajna visheshastu pare jananam prayodishanti swa shrigala samyam. Okay. We can't have an alankara here because you can say upama alankara is there. Tesham prajnaha mrigatulyaha iti tatra shvasrigala samyam, you can take it as upama alankara. Not a great chamatkara vishayam there. It is just a statement of fact. So that's right. Move on to the next one. Na kala bhedat rasavarna bhedo na jamitava na rijisha bhavaha saraswatam nama phalam tadetat sadaika roopam kritino labhante. Only the fortunate people attain the fruit of Saraswati. So Saraswati katakshaha kada patati iti chet yesham bhagyottaraha iti purvameva pathitam asmabhihi. So bhagyam yesham vidyate punyapaka visheshaha yes yesham vidyate teshameva Saraswati katakshaha is possible, right? So that because it is a very different phalam, it is a different result. When the grace of Saraswati falls on someone, when Saraswati kataksha falls on someone, the result is some sort of a literary fruit is seen by the people who are graced by Saraswati. So they are able to write, they are able to talk well, something or the other. But once that grace falls, after that, it is, how do I say this? She is not going to take back her kataksham. Once her eyesight falls on someone, she is not going to take back it, and it is going to be present in that person always. The only thing he can do is punya visheshena, it will just keep on increasing unless there is a balavati, there is a stronger papam to obstruct that Saraswati kataksham. Otherwise, that person is only going to increase in his intellectual capacity and continue doing things which are not found commonly among people. Right? So kritinaha eva tat saraswatam phalam labhante. Kritinaha. Kriti is a person who has bhagyam, one who has a lot of punya vishesha. Only those people, kritinaha eva tat etat sada ekarupam saraswatam nama phalam labhante. Saraswatam vagvilasam. Saraswatyaha ayam iti saraswatyaha idam saraswatam nama phalam. Yataha phalam iti shabdasya visheshanataya uktam iti karanat tatra saraswatam iti saraswatyaha idam iti vaktavyam. So the samasa, how it goes is, when you do a vigraha vakyam, you will have to see what is it qualifying and try to put in that lingam for that vigraha vakyam. Okay, so saraswatam nama phalam, a fruit that is called saraswata or belonging to Saraswati, sada ekarupam, it is always of one form, found in one form, and that sort of a phalam only kritinaha labhante, only those fortunate people attain that fruit. Now how is this fruit? Kala bhedat rasa varna bhedaha na. Yasya phalasya kala bhedat. If you take a normal fruit takes time to change from one color to another, or its taste changes according to kalam. Kala parinamena grishmadi athava prathamam vasanta ritau tatra ankuraha jayate tadanantaram pushpena phalam iti tatra parinamaha jayate kala parinamat. Kala parinamena amradi phalam yadi swikurmaha tatra ekaikasyapi phalasya rase parinamaha jayate varne api parinamaha jayate. We have seen that, right? So for any fruit like mango or guava, any fruit that you take, there is a time limit for it. It is bound by time. Kalaha atra upadhitaya uktam. Right? For either its change, there is a change in rasam, its taste changes. So rasa bhedaha drishyate. Rasam katham amlat madhuram. Prathamam, it is not sweet. Initially, mango is extremely sour and then it changes to sweet. So amlat madhura parimanam jayate, parinamaha jayate. Sorry. If you change the letters there, the meaning changes. Parimanam is measure and parinamaha is change. So amlat madhuram iti amrasya, amraphalasya parinamaha jayate. There is a change there. Varne api, there is a change. In color also. How does it change? It changes from green to yellow. Even if it is a green mango, sometimes there are changes happening inside it which is not seen outside. It might seem the same green outside. There are certain varieties of mango where you will find that only the inside is changed. But still, there is a change. There is a change in taste. There is a change in color. There is a change in size. But none of those will happen for Saraswatam Nama Phalam. It's not going to change drastically. The moment the Kataksham is there, he will start writing poetry or he will start composing something or the other, writing, speaking. There can be a paripakvata in it. But that Saraswati Kataksham, which is there right from the beginning, you will see it. There will be a maturity, definitely. But it doesn't mean that it was not sweet at some point and it has become sweet. No, it has become sweeter probably. That's all. The rasantu ekameva tatra. Sada ekarupameva. Katakshastu ekameva. So, the next one he says is na jamita. Jamita is a very interesting word. It is not, you may not find it in the kosha or anything. In one of the in the text that I have shared, you will find that there is a note that is given in the bottom where it says jamita means yata yamata. Yata yamata ityukte, yama is its time limit, yatam, its time limit is gone. When a fruit's time limit is gone, it becomes jirnam. It degenerates as it goes. So once it changes tastes and color, and if nobody picks it and eats it, it is going to slowly rot and degenerate. So yeah, jamita bhavati sadharana phalanam loke vidyamananam phalanam jamita atava jirnata bhavati parantu saraswata phalasya jirnata kadapi na bhavati. There can be a jirnatvam for the outer indriyas by which a person may not be able to write, may not be able to speak. Parantu antaha saraswati katakshaha yat yaha vidyate tasya jirnatvam kadapi na bhavati. If the outer body may get destroyed, but that will be in the samskara roopam and it will shine in the next janma. Okay, so it is never going to go. That is why in Kumarasambhavam, when Kalidasa talks about Parvati's studies, she also went to a guru to study, but then Praktana Janma Vidyaha, Prapedire Praktana Janma Vidyaha. She just attained all those Vidyaha, the learning that she had learned in her earlier Janmas, they automatically came to her. Udbhutaha bhavitaha. So it is just, they just manifested themselves in her because they were present in her as a samskara. For everybody, you might see that a child suddenly is a prodigy and it can speak or it can play a violin so beautifully like an expert. That is because Praktana Janma Vidyaha might have been an expert who might have made a great effort in an earlier Janma that has come and that is present as a samskara. And that adhuna tu udbhutam abhavat. That's all. In the same way, the Saraswati Kataksham also is not going to go anywhere. It is always going to be present. It is not going to degenerate. Jamita na bhavati. Nava rijisha bhavaha. Rijisha bhavaha arjate rasaha asmat iti rijisha. Rijisha iti hrita sarata. Its essence is completely gone. That sort of a thing is also, whose essence cannot be removed. You have a fruit, You can make it into a juice also, and the rest is Tamil shakkanu solluvom. Adoda, once you have removed the juice, it is only the kodu, shakka, idu, seed, adalanda baki irukkum. The remaining part is completely khrita saram. Its essence is gone once you remove it. Tathapi, you cannot remove that saram from this phalam also and separate it. It is that sort of a phalam, a result which does not change at any given point in life. Okay. So rijisha bhavaha arjate rasaha asmat iti rijishaha rijisham rijishasya bhavaha hrita saratha iti vaktum shakyate. So the fortunate people attain this fruit named saraswata. Saraswatam nama phalam tat ekam sadaika rupam labhante, which is ever present in one form, whose taste and color does not change. Kala bedat, according to the change in season. Kala bedat rasa varna bhedaha na jayate, na jamita, it does not degenerate. Nava rijisha bhavaha, its core essence is also not removed. Now, Vagdevata, once you have said that it is the Vagdevata's kataksham is necessary. Now, what is this Vagdevata? What is the kataksham there? There are different types of Vak. Speech is of different types that you see in the world. There is this Madalai, the small talk of a child is also speech. That is also kataksham. The common language of people is also speech. You also have Vedas and Shruti. There is also Kavyam. Now, what is the place for each of these things? Balyam viduhu prakrita bhashitani Shruti smritihi vriddha dasham vadanti sahityam ekantu giram savitryaha tarunyamudgadham ushanti abhijnaha. Abhijnaha giram savitryaha balyam prakrita bhashitani viduhu. Experts divide these forms of literature or forms of speech into the different stages of Saraswati. They imagine it like that. Giram Savitryaha, Saraswatyaha, childhood. Let's take that if Saraswati spent, what would the language of Saraswati be during her childhood? So that is what kids talk. Prakrita bhashitani. So Prakrita bhashitani can mean balanam swabhavika bhashitam iti vaktum shakyate. Athapi, you can also say that it is Prakrit. Prakrit is a type of language that is, it is a dialect. It was found, you can say it was found before Sanskritam. There are divisions about whether Prak, Kritam, Athava, Prakritehe, Idam. There are two etymological derivations for the word Prakritam. Prakritam is a language, and it was the source language for all of the present day languages that you find in India. Most of the North Indian languages, right? South Indian languages have a different branch. Some say there is a debate. Some say Sanskritam is the source for these languages also. The structure is very different for Tamil, and so Tamil and Sanskritam may have been different, but they might have come together in they might have been developed at the same time. So we are not going into the discussions of it, and please do not ask me questions about which language came first or which is older, which is younger. I don't want to get into that discussions here. Prakrit here is a type of language which you can find in dramas. Characters Tri Patrani and Nicha Patram, where we say if it is not a Brahmin, if it is not a Raja, then the other characters or a Senapati, whereas the other characters use a language called Prakrit. And Pali is a language which you will find in Buddhist texts. These are languages of the common people. It is something that Samanya Jananam idam prakritihi ityukte Samanya Janaha. Prakritihi means subjects of the kingdom. So Prakritinam bhashitam iti prakritam. Tadapi atra vyutpatya vaktum shakyate. Athava prakritihi iti Sanskritam tatra bhavam tataha cha agatam iti prakritam. So it is something that has come from Sanskritam. Sanskritam is like an official language, and from Sanskritam you have Prakritam, which is like a colloquial language. The difference between Sendamil and the normal Tamil that we speak. Sendamil, we say it is a written language. People have been speaking in Sendamil also. So in the same manner, Sanskritam was also a spoken language among people. And there is a colloquial dialect also of it, which is Prakritehe agatam iti prakritam. So that language which is commonly spoken by people, it is like Balabhashitam. Saraswatyaha Balabhashitam iva asti Prakrita Bhashitani. Tari Prakrita Bhashitani Saraswatyaha Giram Savitryaha Saraswatyaha Balyam Balasya Swabhavikam Balasya Karma Shaishavam iti Uktam. So it is spoken of as her childhood. And then the other extreme is, immediately he talks of the second childhood, which is the Vriddha Dasha, Vardhakya Dasha. Saraswatyaha, her old age, Vriddha Dasham, Shruti Smritihi Vadanti. Abhijnaha, experts talk of her old age, talk of Vedas and Smritis as her old age. Shruyate iti, Shruyate anaya iti Shrutihi. Something that is heard and something that is not written down is called Shruti, which is Vedaha. Smaryante Veda Dharmaha Abhihi iti Smritihi. Smriti is that which you have the import of the Vedas in your mind, and then if it is written by a rishi who has the Vedas in mind and reproduces it, then it is called Smriti. Dharma Shastram, etc. comes under this Smriti. You have Gita is also a Smriti. In whenever in Bhashyam, when Shankara writes it, he says Smarati cha Bhagavan Vedavyasaha Gitasu. He Smarati cha Bhagavan. It is a Smriti. That which is remembered, that which is in the Vedas, is being remembered and reproduced in the form of a Dharma Shastra. That is Smriti. So Shruti Smritihi Taha, it is in Dvitiya Bahuvachanam there. So Taha eva Vriddha Dasham Vadanti Janaha. Janaha na abhijnaha kushalaha nipunaha bhasha nipunaha ye santi te saraswatyaha vriddha dasham vardhakyam Shruti Smritihi eva iti vadanti. Kimartham tatra? Shruti, Vedas and Dharma Shastras, where it focuses only on Vidhi Nishedha. Vedeshu, Smritishu cha, Vidhi Nishedha Vakyanam eva prachuryat. Mostly, it is only about this is what you have to do, this is what you don't have to do. There is nothing else other than that. Karma dharma anushasanam eva tatra vartate. You compare it to an old person, he is not going to talk about how to enjoy the world. Let's do this. In today's world, the way people behave, they think of themselves as young mentally, right? And which is the way to go. And it's also helpful to keep the brain young, and hence it will keep them healthy also. More stress is given by old people on karma and dharma. What to perform, what is good, what is right, what is wrong. Etattu karma dharmanushasanantu vriddha bhashitamiva asti iti karanat. Tadrisha rasa virahitam. There is no enjoyment or rasam in karma dharma anushasanam. Nobody enjoys doing karma or dharma. You do it because it is a duty. There is no anandatvam there. You don't seek happiness in doing this. It's very few people who find that it is, you may find it satisfying. You may not find it happy there. In fact, in another shloka, he will say dukkhaika rupaha vidyaha. Every vidya that talks about moksha shastram, the process by which you attain it is filled with shramam. It is not an easy process to do that. That's why he says Kavita is a very beautiful process of yoga. It's an easy method of attaining yoga. So Saraswatyaha Vriddha Dasham Vadanti. Now, what is the Tarunyam? That is the missing portion here, which is Yavvanam. Literature is thought of as Ushanti Abhijnaha Ushanti Sahityam Ekam Udgadham Tarunyam iti Ushanti. If you use the word iti, it will not be in second case. If you do not use the word iti, then you can put it in second case. That is the word tarunyam. Let's say, for example, saha gurum brihaspatim manyate. This is an example. Let's take this as an example. So shishyaha, the student, thinks of his guru as brihaspati. So saha shishyaha gurum brihaspatim manyate, or you can take it as Gurum Brihaspatihi iti manyate. When you use the word iti, you put the word Brihaspati in Prathama Vibhakti. Otherwise, tatra samanadhikaranyena ubhayorapi dvitiya vibhakti. Right? Here, all of those words, when you use Prakrita Bhashitani, Balyam Viduhu, both words are in dvitiya vibhakti. Tatha Vriddadasham Shruti Smritihi Vadanti ityatrapi dvitiya vibhakti reva. Tathaiva Sahityam Udgadham Tarunyam Ushanti. People talk of Kavyam, Sahityam as her youth, Saraswati's youth. Because Kavihi Swakavye Loka Vishayan Chamatkarataya Udbhavayati, Tadha Jananam Manasu Alaukika Anandam api janayati. So he creates a great happiness in the mind of people because he portrays the different things in the world in a different manner, and he tries to create an ananda in the mind of the person. It's only in youth you will have that energy and enthusiasm to look at the world and enjoy the things that are present in the world. As you go, the things, all of the objects in the world lose their chamatkaram, their freshness. You will then want to slowly withdraw yourself within yourself and start thinking about contemplating on yourself, how you can better yourself. Right? Ishvara dhyanam athava. Tad dhyanam sarvam tu shruti smritishu vartante. So if you look at the process of your life, if you are young at 20, you may not understand this process. But when you are beyond 40, 50, slowly getting into 60s, you will understand how, when you reflect upon your life. Initially, it would be like Prakrita Bhashitam, something that common people talk about. You won't know what you are doing. Right? So many things that you do in life that when you reflect upon, oh, maybe I should not have done that. I was so innocent at that age. Right? That is Prakrita Bhashitam. Tattu Balyam iva vartate. Tadanantaram Tarunyam. Only during Yavvanam, you want to enjoy so many different things in the world. And then slowly you withdraw yourself from the world and look into Shastras and Vedas, Upanishads for elevating yourself in life. So Sahityameva Vagdevatayaha Tarunyam iti manyante janaha. Abhijnaha, you can say Nipunaha. Okay. Abhi is a upasarga that is used for Sakalyam in its entirety. Jananti. Sakalyena Jananti Bhasha Shastram iti Praveenaha Abhijnaha. Here in this shloka, the alankara is called Ullekha Alankara. There are two types of Ullekha Alankara where one person is looked upon as different people by different people. So, Ekaha eva Raja, Stribihi Kamaha, iti Drishtaha. So, women who look at a very handsome person, the king, they look upon him as Manmatha. Shatru, enemies look upon that king as Yama, god of death. In this manner, different people look upon only one person as different. Here, Eka Dharmikayaha eva Saraswatyaha. Saraswati or Vagdevata is just one, but there are three different forms. You are taking three different aspects of Saraswati, namely Prakritam, Vaidikam, and Sahityam, Kavya Vishayam. You're taking three different aspects of one Saraswati, Vak, and indicating or looking at it as Balya, Vardhakya, and Yavana Rupam. Iti ullekhat. So you're highlighting three different aspects of Saraswati and comparing it and highlighting it as three different avastha. So this is called Ulleka Alankara. The Lakshanam is Ekena Bahudha Ullekhe api asau Vishaya Bedataha. Atra Vishaya Bedaha tu Prakrita Vaidika Kavya Vishayam. So the way you look at it is Balya Vardhakya Yopara. Yes. So Balyam Viduhu Prakrita Bhashitani Shruti Smritihi Vriddhadasham Vadanti Sahityamekam tu Giram Savitryaha Tarudyam Udgadham Ushanti Abhignaha. The next one is Kva Arthaha, Kva Shabdaha, Kva Rasah, Kva Bhavaha, Kva Vyangya Bhedaha, Kva Cha Vakya Ritihi, Kiyatsu Drishtihi Kavina Nadeya, Kimasti Rajñam Yati Hachinta. Now, when you say that, Parvati, sorry, I keep saying Parvati here, Saraswati Kataksham is necessary, and Saraswati has different stages in her life, like Balyam, Sahitya, Yavvanam, and Vriddhavastha. But the most difficult part here is maintaining that Tarunyam. Right? So the Kavyam has so many aspects in it that the Kavi has to be extremely careful, and he has to look at so many different aspects when he tries to portray that the youth of Saraswati. It's not a mean task. It's not a very simple task, easy task to describe Yavvanam. It's a very difficult path that a poet has to undergo, right? Just as how in our life, youth is a very dangerous time, at the same time, it is a very enjoyable time also. There are many different ways in which you can go in the wrong path. At the same time, you can also have a wonderful time in your youth. The same way, Kavyam, being the youth of Saraswati, there are many different aspects in the Kavyam where a poet, if he is not careful, he can immediately make a mistake and go in the wrong path. So his drishti, the Kavina, drishtihi, kiyatsu nadeya. There are so many things that he has to place his attention on. What are those? Where are the meanings? Kva arthaha, kva iti kutra. Saptamyarthe kva. Okay. Kim shabdasya, there are certain pratyayas that have to be added to make the word kva. It is an avyayam. But then kim iti shabdasya parivrittihi eva atra. It is a transformation of the word kim in its saptami vibhakti. So the meaning of word kva is kutra. Kasmin vishaye or kutra vartate, kasmin deshe. Kva arthaha. There are so many different meanings that a poet has to convey. So where are those meanings? He has to search for them one by one. Kva shabdaha. Tadrisha pratibadya vishayanam artha pratipadane uchitani padani kutra vartante iti kavina anveshtavyaha. Right? He has to search for the words that are appropriate for conveying the meaning that he wants to convey. We had the explanation, I spoke about the Kapali and Pinaki, where even one word can make a big difference. Not only that, even in a Kavyam, even in a Vakyam, a big sentence can also make a difference in portraying the rasa. It's very important that a poet pays attention to what he is doing. So, Kva Shabdaha, there are so many words that are present in the Shabda Shastram. If he uses a wrong word, if you take Shiva Sahasranamam, there are thousands of names for Shiva. Yet, only the word Kapali fits in that shloka and not Pinaki. Right? So, even if there are many words, this is a huge topic that came about after Dhwani. So, Dhwani is a concept that was given by Abhinav Gupta, Anandavardhana first and then Abhinav Gupta. Post Dhwani, there were one or two concepts that came about, and one of that is Auchityam, which was given by Kshemendra in 11th century. Kshenendra is a Kashmir person, and he wrote a text called Auchitya Vichara Charcha. Auchityam is a concept that should be underlying for everything in Kavyam. Dhvani, yes, but for that Dhvani to come about, it can be spoiled by even one word, or a Vakyam, or a Samasta Padam, or a Vigraha Vakyam, anything. He says the Padam is like a tilakam for a lady. Where is that? 1 minute. Tilakam Bibrati. Tilakam Bibrati Suktihi Bhati Ekam Uchitam Padam. Ekam Uchitam Padam. One appropriate word shines beautifully like the Tilakam Bindu of a beautiful lady. Chandranana iva Kasturi Kratam Shyama iva Chandanam. When you do a Tilakam very beautifully, then it shines forth in the face of a beautiful lady. In the same manner, one word can make or break a shloka. It can either add beauty to that shloka or it can completely destroy. The way he approaches his text is he takes examples and gives a counter example also. If you use this word, then it adds beauty to the shloka. Whereas in this shloka, because of this word, the entire beauty of that shloka is gone. So he gives examples like that for each padam, vakyam. It takes about at least 25 to 30 examples of where even prakriti pratyaya can contribute to a beauty, auchityam, propriety of a kavyam. So that's why a poet has to be extremely cautious. Anandavardhana says, avadhana atishayavan rase tatraiva satkavihi. Satkavihi, a poet who wants to be a good poet, has to be extremely cautious. Avadhana atishayavan. Atishaya avadhanam tatra dhatavyam kutra rase. Especially in rasam, he has to be extremely careful because there are 9 different rasas. There are contradicting rasas. You don't know which rasa to put with which rasa. You will have to be extremely cautious. Even if you are trying to put a virodhi rasa like Shringara and Bibhatsa, it should be put in such a manner that it can be enjoyed by the reader and it should not be discarded by the reader. Bhavet tasmin pramadaha jhatityeva upalakshate. If he does any one mistake, jhatiti eva upalakshate, it can immediately be pointed out by a sahridaya. He can quickly understand what is the difference here and why where the mistake is. So kwa arthaha pratipadya vishayaha kutra vartante iti anveshtavyaha kwa shabdaha artha pratipadana uchitani padani anveshaniyani. Like he has to search for them. Kwa rasaha, rasaha kwa bhavaha. Rasa and bhava are extremely important for dhvani. I explained about what is rasam. Shabdartha pratipadyaha eva shungaradayaha. Not only by shabda and artha are rasas known, you also have to use appropriate words and meanings in order to show the sentiments. And then kwa bhavaha. Bhavaha are Shabdarthaihi eva ullekhyaha vyabhichārādayah bhavaha. Nirveda, Glani, Shankha. There are 33 vyabhichari bhavas which can then give rise to rasa, or even the bhava is enough. It is like an emotion. So the sentiments and bhavas have to be revealed only by the appropriate words and meanings. Kwa Vengya Bedaha. So many different types of dhvanis are there. If you look at Kavya Prakasham and Sahitya Darpana, or even Prataparudriyam, they talk of 5,000 types of dhvani. Arthantara Sankramita Vachidhvani, Atyanta Tiraskrita Vachidhvani, Lakshanamula Dhvani, Abhidhamula Dhvani. You have Asamlakshikramadhvani, Samlakshikramadhvani. Within Samlakshikramadhvani, there are so many varieties. Padam, Vakyam, Prabandham. Different types of dhvanis are there. So, Vyangya Vedaha Kwa. Kwa ityukte asambhavaniyaha ityapa uktam shakyate. You don't need to take it as kutra, but you can also say, where is the different types of Vedas? On what all a poet has to show his focus. Kvacha Vakya Ritihi. Now he comes to these are the types that he has to give in his kavyam, using a Vakya Riti, Vakyasya Pada Samohasya Vinyasa Prakaraha cha Katham Kartavyam iti Chintaniyam Kavina. That's why he says Vishesha Vinyasa Vishesha Bhavyaihi Yaneva Shabdan Vayam-alapamaha. It is the same words that we use, it is the same meaning that we use, but he places it in such a manner that is called the Vakya Ritihi. So Vakyasya Ritihi Vinyasa Prakaraha cha kutra vartate iti, he has to search for that. So Kavina, by a poet, Kiyatsu drishtihi na deya iti, on how many things does a poet not have to focus? It is a katu there. It is Sarvatra bahushu vishayeshu the drishtihi deya eva, datavya eva. You take it as he has to place his na deya, the nany is taken as positive here. Tatha kim rajnyam iyati ihacha. He immediately has to compare it with a poet. See, he has suffered. He has been a minister with Tirumala Nayaka. And there is a story where the sculptor was doing a sculpture of the queen, and he kept on chipping at the as he was doing her legs, there was a chip in the thigh. And then Nilakanta Dikshita says that there is a mole there. There is in the Machambo mole there at that point. She has a mark on that thigh. And let it be there. So Tirumala Nayaka suspects minister. So he always has a problem with the kings. He has to bring them down here. And then the Nilakanta Dikshita says that it is because of his drishti. He knew about it. It is not that he had an intimate affair with the queen, but he was a great scholar who knew it. And he wantedly burns his own eyes. And after, because the king was going to come and arrest him, suspecting affair between him and the queen. He burns his eyes and then he writes Ananda Sagarastavam. Then Devi Meenakshi gives back his eyes. That's a story that is present. So he always has a problem with kings here. So Rajnyam, Nripanam, Iha ityukte Rajya Vishaye Yati Chinta Astikim. Do they have so much of worry in matters relating to their kingdom? I don't think so. That's what he means. There are so many places that a poet has to be cautious in order to give anandam to his readers. Whereas, does a king have so much of things to think about? You just take it as Rajabhyaha api utkrishtaha eva kavayaha sreshtaha eva kavayaha iti vaktum atra. He uses this word, that's all. Okay, so kva arthaha, kva shabdaha, kva rasaha, kva bhavaha, kva vyangya bhedaha, kva cha vakya ritihi, kiyatsu drishtih kavina nadeya, kimasti rajnyam iyati iha chinta. Okay, maybe I'll think I'll stop with this. Any questions you can ask? If there are no questions, then I'll take one more shloka and then finish. Okay. Avarna Shakti Graham Apavargam Duhkaika Rupa Virachaya Vidyaha Vishranti Hetoho Kavitam Jananam Vedhaha Sadanandamayim Kim Adhat. Avarna. See, when you say that there are so many things that a poet has to place his attention on, he now says, he thinks about why this Kavita was created by Brahma. Kavita is the Tarunyam for Saraswati. Now he looks at it in a different manner. He says Kavita is like a Vishranti Hetu. A lot of people, they start by learning letters, and then slowly, a common thing that I have heard when people come and tell me that I want to learn Sanskritam, the first thing they say is, I want to learn the meanings for the shlokas that I've been reciting from young age. That is the first thing that I always hear, invariably, 90%, let me say that. 90% I hear that. I do Ramayanam, Parayanam every day. I hear so many shlokas. I don't understand the meaning. I want to understand the meaning of those things. And then, Varna Shakti Grahat. So for that, they start learning the letters and the meaning of those letters. Varnanam Shaktihi, Shakti Graha. Shakti Graha ityukte Shaktihi, where these words have a power. Artham. So Shakti Graha means the method of understanding the power of those letters, or grasping the meaning of those, right from the letters to words to sentences to big poems and kavyams. Varna Shakti Graham, Varnanam Shaktehe Grahat Arabhya. Can be used for both beginning and for inclusive, both inclusive and from the beginning. Arabhya ityatrapi ang iti upasargam upayoktam shakyate. Tadanantaram abhivyapya. When you look at the second word, it is apavargam. Apavargam atra apavargam. Apavargam abhivyapya until moksha. So when you use it in samasa, it can mean from or it can mean to. So when I say Shakti Graham, here it means Shakti Grahat Arabhya. Varnanam Shakti Grahat Artha Avagamanat Arabhya. Tadanantaram apavargam iti yada vadamah tatra moksha paryantam. Apavargaha moksha. Moksham abhivyapya, including moksha. So right from learning the letters, Shabda Shastrat Arabhya, until you get to the Shastram of moksha, you want to understand the meaning, get sukham and everything. Sarve api janaha anandam praptumeva prayatnam kurvanti. Everybody wants to attain some sort of because this world is dukkha pradhanam. You are going in search of sukham. Sukham praptum janaha shastram pathanti. Tatra Shabda Shastrat Arabhya Moksha Shastra Paryantam Sarvam Shastram Yadyat Vidyate. Any darshanas that you find, there are processes that are given in that, and all of those processes involve some kind of distress. Dukkhaika Rupaha Vidyaha. Each, there is no pleasure in following tapas and all that. Right? I am not denying, definitely there is a pleasure in Advaita. I personally feel it is a wonderful Shastram. And when you read Yoga Shastram or, Advaita Shastram, I find an equal joy with as I get from Kavyam. Right? It's a personal perspective also that involves here. But Dukkhaika Rupaha, when you put it into practice, each one takes effort. When you have to train your mind, it is an effort. It is not a sukha process. It is a dukkha process. It is a distress. It is a painful process that you go through. So dukkhaika rupaha vidyaha. Virachayya, after creating all of these vidyaha, these branches of learning, right from grasping the meaning of words to apavargam, moksha shastram, to liberation, every branch of learning seems to be in the form of distress when you go through the process of pursuit. Brahma created all of these. So after creating these, he created Kavita also, which is a very enjoyable process. But for you to enjoy that Kavita process, you need to go through Shabda Shastram, Tarka Shastram, and other Shastram, and then come to Kavyam. My teacher, as I have said before, he would say, learn Shastras. First, you will have to learn Kavyas, then go to Shastras, and then come back to Kavyam to understand the simplicity with which a poet has given the Shastrartha and the beauty with which he has given the Shastrartha in his Kavyam. It is essential to have a Shastra knowledge to understand Kavyam. But it's like a catch-22 situation where you have to know Kavyam, you have to study Kavyam to understand Shastram, because without a Kavya knowledge, if you are going into Shastram, it is dry. When you look at Karaka Prakaranam in Vyakaranam, if you have the background of Kavyam and then look into Karaka Prakaranam, the way you look at Karaka itself will be very different. It will be so much more beautiful and you will enjoy Shastram reading. If it is just Shastram, near Shastram, you are not going to understand the beauty of it. My professors have always been an advocate of Kavyams. First, study a lot of Kavyam. At least 3-4 Natakas, 3-4 Kavyas, and then a few Gadyam, Champu. Champu Ramayanam is a must. Or after these, you can go to Advaita Shastra. Then it will, and then you come back to this Kavyam. You will enjoy it much more, he would say. So Vedaha Brahma. Brahma Varna Shaktigrahat Apavargam Duhkaika Rupaha Vidyaha Virachaya. After creating all branches of learning as forms of Dukkham, Brahma, did he create? Kim Adhat? Adhat atra am upasargaha dha dhatuhu adadhati. Did he instill a kavyam, or did he create a kavyam, kavita? Sadanandamayim, sada anandamayim kavitam, anandarupam kavitam, kimartham virachayati, saha jananam vishranti hetoho. For the reason, for the purpose of rest, satra shastre, அதாவது வழண்டுன்னு ஒரு தமிழ்ல நம்ம யூஸ் பண்ணோம். சாஸ்திரத்துல அப்படியே வழண்டு களைச்சு போய் இருக்கக்கூடியவர்களுக்கு அப்படியே அந்த கவிதைங்கிறது ஒரு விஸ்ராமம். ஏஷாம், in poet, when you go to shastram and darshanas, you toil yourself so much there in studying the concepts and the tarka and all of those different concepts that they are trying to say, and then you need some rest for your brain. You come to Kavyam. I know of some of my students who are studying Tarka Shastra and Vyakarana Shastra. They would say, I need at least one Kavya Patham, because they were all my students before and studied Kavyam with me. They'll say, I'll need at least one Kavya Patha per week, so that I can balance it with the Vyakaranam and Tarkam that I'm reading there. It is too much taxing to the brain. Whereas Kavyam is like a rest. It Vishranti hetoho, for the sake of rest, just as a pathika, just as a traveler who walks everywhere, it is his goal. That is his goal. Chaya is not his goal. His goal is to attain that city. He toils through the road. He walks through the road in the sun and everything. But at the same time, he wants a Vishranti. He comes and sits down at the shady place and enjoys the nature for a few minutes. That is Kavyam for him. Right? So, Varna Shakti Graham, Apavargam, Duhkaika Rupaha, Virachaya Vidyaha, Vishranti Hetoho, Kavitam Jananam, Vedaha, Sadanandamayim, Kim Adhat. Did Brahma create this ever happy form of poetry for people to rest? Okay. Any doubts? Otherwise, we will stop. Any questions? Okay. I know. That's it. I'll stop. We'll meet. Okay. There is no class